Hello, ladies, and welcome to the Sexy Side of Menopause. I am so excited to be here with you today, as I am every time I show up, because I always have the most dynamic women that I know that are doing amazing things on this menopause journey. And today I do not disappoint again. This woman, I met her at a speaker's event and she blew me away. She absolutely blew me away. And she's rocking this gorgeous silver hair that I'm just like, you just lean in, just like, I want some hair like that. Reminds me of like a person that is so wise. And she is definitely wise. Her name is LaWanna Bradford. And I want to introduce her to all of you. LaWanna, thank you so much for being here. You are so inspiring. I just want you to know you have touched me, and I have been trying to reach out, and you finally found time on your calendar to be here. So, welcome to the Sexy Side of Menopause, and thank you so much for finding time to be with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the sexy side of menopause. I love the way that sounds. I'm excited about this conversation. And it's just an honor to be here with you and to connect again after so much time.
Right. So tell the audience a little bit about yourself. I know you as a speaker. I've also seen your accolades that drops in Atlanta of all the wonderful things you're doing in your business. So let's talk a little bit about who you are, how you ended up on that path. So it's such an unusual path, I think, for a woman, especially as a woman of color.
Yes, well, I like to see myself as a connector. And what that means is I'm able to connect the dots, to find the opportunity in the chaos and translate those stumbling blocks into stepping stones. And how I do that is through my two lanes of expertise, my financial expertise and my strategic expertise. And that led me into starting two businesses. The Bradford Group is a commercial and investment mortgage company. We are in our 19th year this year. Can you believe it? Whew.
Congratulations.
Yes, and that being, male dominated industry, like you said, African American women not heavily dominated in that space, and the fact that we survived the 2007, 2008 and we're still here. So I'm pretty happy about that. And then on the strategy side, it's the Bradford Group Consulting, and that's also part of my speaking lane. And we work with major corporations, as well as now we're really wanting to take those lessons learned, the practical strategies in order to remain relevant in an ever-changing marketplace and help small business owners do the same. And I really love your platform because I'm leaning into women who are in that midlife space, right? And are trying to figure out, is this multiple income stream thing real? How can I do it? How can I do it in my own way, in an
Yes.
area that I'm passionate and excited about, so that I can create legacy and create strategic impact and influence for the next generation?
That is absolutely dynamic. So I have a couple of questions for you. You said you're a connector. When I think of a connector, I'm thinking a person that is like a liaison to so many different lanes and avenues, but you're in this space of commercial real estate and also finance. So let's talk about how you became a woman in this space that's a connector. And then in these two lanes, was it because of maybe your degree in school, or was it your work experience that opened doors? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Sure. Well, starting with the strategy side of the house, actually coming out of college, I was working for the Department of Defense as a statistician. Most people don't know that part about me. I'm very analytical, and that opened up to the world of strategy. And I worked with the Information Systems Command, working with satellite communications. I'm dating myself, but it's okay. Uh, Dealing with fiber optics, right? The
Okay.
integration of fiber optics and how technology was transforming the workplace. So
Right.
I was dealing with future work initiatives 30 plus years ago.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so I just got real excited about that line of work and realizing that everything happens in patterns. It's all so if you understand the pattern, then you can really navigate and create the path that you want based upon the patterns that are already there. So you don't change the patterns. It's
Right.
how do you redefine them, right, to fit you. And then
Okay.
on the mortgage side, My brother actually started the Bradford Group 19 years ago. And when the 2007, 2008 crisis hit, he
Mhm.
bailed, I stayed. The question is, how did I even come to that? Well, I had just left corporate and thought I wanted to take a sabbatical. And he asked me to come in and help him with the business, to help him with some compliance issues. And I
Mhm.
got bitten by the bug because I'm an avid learner. And I thought, how can I become a part of this? And even though he's my brother, this was all business. He said, well, we'll have a conversation. We'll talk about your investment. And then if you're a viable partner. So, like I said, that's my journey here. He left for the best interest of his family. I
Mhm.
stayed. The rest
Mhm.
is history.
That's amazing. One, you said that there's an investment, and I like to think of an investment like you have skin in the game. It's like you're not on the sidelines, you're in it, and you're going to bring whatever you can to back this journey that you're going on. But before you actually ended up in this business, you said you needed to take a sabbatical. And as a woman that's helping women on the menopause journey, one of the things that I like to advocate is like it's important to take some time, get still, and find out what this chapter of life is calling for you. And it's like it led you into a totally new career opportunity. So let's talk about this sabbatical. How did that look like for you? You were in a corporate environment where you burn out, or was it one of those things you've been thinking about doing something different and the opportunity? Like, let's talk through that because I feel like so many women find themselves in that space, and if they don't have good support or somebody to give them some insight into that path, they kind of get lost along the way.
Right. No, I agree with you. No, I wasn't burnt out at all. I loved what I did. And the one lesson that my father always taught me that I have applied my whole life, he said, find something in life that you love so much that you'd be willing to do it for free and you'll never work a day in your life. And I have literally been blessed throughout my professional career and now as an entrepreneur. And my entrepreneur journey actually didn't start there. It started out of high school. And this is a
Okay.
funny for you. Um, I got bitten by the entrepreneurial bug when I started college. And you're as
Okay.
a college student, you're looking, how can I make some extra money? And
Yeah.
we all are familiar with direct sales or direct marketing. I
Hmm.
started selling knives. I was
Okay.
going door to door selling Cutco knives.
I
And
know those knives.
I realized if I can sell knives, I think I could sell anything.
Yes.
So I just started to really study business and I realized I really love how businesses connect and that it's really just the transfer, right? Money is a transfer of goods and services.
Mhm. Right.
But with
Right.
that, there are people that's involved, whether it's the people
Mhm.
that are helping
Yeah.
you to build your business, whether it's that customer, whether it's those stakeholder relationships, partnerships,
Mhm.
folks that are in your supply chain. And
Right.
I really started to get really, really passionate about that.
Okay.
And so that sort of translates, and I hope I'm answering your question,
No,
to
good.
how I got to this space.
Hmm.
And for the women, honestly, Beverly, I think I realized about 10 years ago that there's a financial crisis facing women. Number one. Number two, now I'm speaking specifically to women in the US.
Okay.
We lie. I'm just going to be bottom line.
Okay.
We like to look the part, right?
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, we're struggling
Hmm.
to pay bills, to make ends meet, to plan for our kids' future.
Hmm.
I think when I heard that Pampers was putting up forward an initiative to diaper babies in this country, and that many of the people who were signing up for this program were quote unquote those in the middle class ranks. And it made me realize if we want to change that narrative in our experience, we have to first, as Shakespeare says, be true to yourself.
Hmm.
Because if
Hmm.
I've got this mask on, right, and then this help comes from my left or right, am I really going to take the help? I don't want people to know that I'm struggling, right? So I perpetuate this lie
Mhm,
to myself.
mhm, mhm, mhm,
But if
mhm.
we could say,
Right.
it's okay, I am struggling,
Okay.
and I need to figure out how to get out of this. The average entrepreneur, Beverly, in the U.S. makes less than $60,000 a year,
Yes,
but
I can
everybody's
attest to
saying
that.
right? Everybody's saying they make six figures. I'm like, well, where are you folks? Because Department of Labor, IRS, they're saying something
Mhm.
different.
Right, right.
And so that's what I want to help change. I want to change that not just the narrative, but change the experience so that we
Mhm.
really build sustainable communities. So
Okay.
that's my big why.
There's a lot there to chew on. I want to talk about finance, but I really want to dig a little bit deeper in the sabbatical and then go to finance
Yes.
because one, I've taught finance in my church, and I do understand that that is something that we're not educated about, first and foremost. Secondly, we're not aware of how to diversify our monies and let our money make money for us. And also understanding that we have to be able to teach other people. So I am in an investment class now. I'm in stock trading. Like I'm an entrepreneur. I've worked for government and contracting. So I understand all of these different lanes, but sometimes it's over, the heads
Sure.
of some of the people I'm having a conversation with. So you're speaking my language. But I wanted to talk to the women that may be in this space before they even understand all of
Right.
that they can find themselves in a dark space
Sure.
trying to figure out what the next step, like, do I still continue to work when I'm not getting joy in my work? Because there are women that show up, and I was one of them at certain points in times, like you're just kind of going through the motion because you need to bring an income, but it doesn't really, like you say, it's not the work you want to do for free. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
the work that you have to do to make ends
Exactly.
meet. So let's talk about that a little bit and how
Sure.
we can maybe move into this space where we lean into the financial aspect of it.
Yeah, and I apologize because you did. I kind of went on down a rabbit hole.
No,
You
because
did
I'm
ask
with
me
you
about
with that one, because that's probably where the rest of this conversation is going to be, because you can't really enjoy your life unless your money's right. So I
right.
get it. I truly get it. And I don't feel like that conversation is taking place in enough spaces that's openly shared. Like I say, I had to pay for my coaching to learn information about how to trade stocks or how to invest. I had to pay for that. But here we're having a podcast conversation where ladies can get some major nuggets. So please, the floor is yours.
But you asked me a couple of things. You first asked me about the sabbatical, then you asked about if you find yourself in a dark space, and then the third thing is then how do you find that renewed passion, right? The
Right.
so what of your life. And
Yes.
so the first thing, as far as the sabbatical, I was an executive director for a mass transit organization, and I just felt there was something else I was meant to do. I wasn't really certain what it was.
Mhm.
So I didn't want to just jump into something. I said, you know what? I've got enough reserves. I can pause for 6 months.
Okay.
I was fortunate to be able to do that. And I just got to the point. It's like I'm doing so well helping other people build their stuff and things,
Mhm.
but am I really doing what I want to do? Or there's some dreams that I may have put on the back burner. And as I said, being an entrepreneur for all those years in different lanes, I realized I really wanted to get back into it, but in a deeper, more meaningful way. So
Mhm.
that's where I was kind of contemplating, the what, and where that sabbatical was really good. I only lasted 5 months, not six, because by May I was already in with my brother. But
Uh-huh.
how this now transitions to that dark space. I've been so blessed all my life. I used to tell people, not boasting, but very, very serious about it, that I had the Midas touch. I was one of those people, everything fell into place.
Mhm.
Never had to worry about money until I did. And
Okay.
I say this very seriously because you can do all the right things. You can dot all the I's, cross all the T's. And
Mhm.
sometimes those uncontrollable factors in life happen
Yes.
that
Yes.
cause you to spiral. So with me,
Mhm.
it started, as I mentioned, 2007, 2008, right?
Mhm.
Mortgage crisis.
Yes.
I'm in mortgages. And so suddenly our ability to do lending was curtailed.
Right. Right.
We had to quickly shift things. And so that happens. My brother leaves. He had all the major licensing. So I'm now having to take money out that was scarce to
Mhm.
take care of getting the licensing that I
Right.
needed. We
Right.
had 13 employees. At this point, I'm like, how am I going to pay these people? I didn't have the heart to let them go.
Right.
So I did something I tell people never to do. if you can avoid it. I rob for my future to take care of them. Again, not take care of me, not take care of my family, take care of them. And some
Right.
people may say, well, that was admirable. But now that I know better, I would do it in a different way. So I draw down from my retirement thinking, oh, the world's going to turn around quickly, right? It
Mhm.
didn't.
It took a while.
Well, kept drawing down to where I had $7,800 left in my retirement fund. So it went from a little over $1 million to $7,800. And I still had to let the people go.
Oh my gosh.
So if I had done it differently, it would have made more sense for me to give them individual little small severance packages,
Mhm, mhm.
provided them with training, how they could retool and find where they could fit, maybe partner with SBA and other programs out there to
Right.
see how they could um, provide income for their families
Right.
rather than stripping myself of everything.
Right.
We all know what, if you're in a marriage and finances are funny, what happens?
Causes
Oh,
chaos.
chaos, right? So my husband and I ended up getting divorced.
Mhm, mhm.
Then right after that, I'm wondering, okay, money's still not coming in. How am I going to maintain everything? So I go to mom and dad. So we're still in the dark place to the listening
Yeah.
audience.
Yeah.
And it gets darker. I go to mom and dad. I said, Mom, Dad, I'm struggling financially. I need your help. That
Mhm.
was the most humiliating moment of my life.
Yeah.
My parents flew from Arizona to Georgia. My dad sat me down at the table. He said, I need to see everything. What's coming in, what's going out. I'm like,
Mhm.
well, nothing's coming in. He said, I don't care. You're asking us for money, everything, bear it all.
Yeah.
So he said, I'll help you. We'll keep the roof over your head, your utilities, food, and gas in your car. And I said, but I got all this business and stuff. He said, oh, that's on you. He goes, I don't care about that. I just want to make sure you're okay. I'm
I'll
like, but
take care of
Dad.
his little girl. Yeah.
So I said, that's okay. I can handle this
Mhm.
until I got sued by Chase Bank. Because at that time, people don't realize when the market was failing, banks were calling things due. So again, like I
Yes.
said, you could
Yes.
do all the right things. You could
Mhm,
be
mhm.
paying things on
Right.
time, but when
Yeah.
they're looking at possible risk, they don't care. It's like we want it all now.
Right. Right.
And I go to mom and dad. Hey mom, I got a lawsuit. I need some money to get a lawyer. My
Mhm.
dad laughed. He said, I'm so sorry. What did I tell you? I'll take care of you, but not your business.
Right.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
And so I went to a friend and he had gone to law school. He said, I can teach you how to represent yourself in court. There's no guarantee, but he said, but you may have a chance in winning. And in fact, that's what I spoke about on our platform where I met you. I did win. I won against Chase Bank. And so
Oh, I got
to
goosebumps. Oh my gosh.
that
Wow.
speaks
Go
to
up
things
against
that
the
you
big boys
do.
and you became the person that was able to represent yourself, like the confidence that it takes to do. It kind of reminds me of like Oprah when she went through that situation with
Right,
the meat industry or something. So
right.
kudos for you.
And I think that also speaks to you have to be coachable. We're not going to know everything, and you have to be humbled. A person who's coachable humbles himself and says, I don't know everything, but I'm willing to lean into someone who's
Right.
been there, done
Right.
that, and got the t-shirt.
Yeah.
And so I did, and I survived that. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm good. Nothing else could possibly happen until I was diagnosed with cancer.
Oh my God.
This is all within a 6-year time period. So that dark space, ladies and gentlemen, I get it. I've
Mhm.
been there. But the
Mhm.
one thing that I never lost sight of, even though I sometimes was wondering, is there any hope? I knew that if I could make it through those little hurdles and that allow them to be my anchor and just
Yeah.
build on it, that
Right.
I could make it to the other side. I didn't know how I was going to make it to the
Right.
other side.
Right.
I didn't know if I was even going to see it tomorrow because what I was diagnosed with has no cure. I'm still in the quote unquote cancer battle. And it's actually going to be 10 years in August.
Oh.
But I said, God, you've given us this life.
Yeah.
Everyone has a termination date. We don't want, just like finances, we don't want to talk about that, but
Yeah.
that's reality.
Mhm.
So let me reframe. So this is where my purpose comes. My purpose was reshaped. Let me take all these skills and abilities, this
Okay.
crisis that I feel that women are challenged with,
Right.
let them know that don't wait till tomorrow. do it now because tomorrow's not promised. And if
Absolutely.
you need to
Absolutely.
see an example of
Absolutely.
someone doing it now, you're looking at it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's, I hope I answered all three. That kind of takes you through the
I
journey.
just want to pause for a second and say, what a powerful message that is, and also shows the strength of a woman that society is saying is irrelevant. You went through, to me, it sounds like the dark night of the soul.
It was.
You had to really go into this dark space, but it's like the phoenix that rises, like you came out of it. And here you are today with this amazing business, and you're sharing your message across platforms around the globe. And you're here to inspire women to like, don't give up, keep going, keep moving. That
Yes.
is phenomenal.
And I just want to add, like, people, they look at my hair and they're like, "Oh God, we love you. You were bold and you went gray." No, this is cancer.
Mm-hmm.
That it does things to your body, and for me, it stripped out my hair color. And I thought about, should I color it? I thought, no. This is a badge of honor. This is showing.
Mm-hmm.
This is, every time I look in the mirror, it reminds me
Yeah.
who is holding my life in his
Yeah.
hands. It reminds me about resilience, and I'm proud of it. I'm a survivor. I'm fighting, and I'm gonna do the best I can with each and every day that I'm given.
Well, I see it as a space of wisdom. I am a baby boomer, and I spent time with my grandmothers, great grandmothers, and they would have this gray hair. And to me, whenever somebody had something going on, they would come and visit the wise ones in the community, and they were the ones with the gray hair. And it's just like, okay, you have something that you've lived through in life because it is radiating, it is showing. So your hair to me is a wisdom that women can glean a lot. Just being here, I mean, I'm just like choked up a little bit hearing how vulnerable and open you are in sharing this, because sometimes women want to, like, you're talking about the finance, they want to put on this face like everything's fine, everything's great, and there's nothing wrong here.
Yeah,
But we are
exactly.
women. We have to be vulnerable. We have to be open. We have to share our experience, our journey. And that's the thing about the menopause journey to me that I'm here to bring forth. There's enough of the like, okay, when you get to be menopausal, you're not relevant in society. You're the person that's going to be the one that's the babysitter. And just like, yeah, there's a time and space for that, but there's a whole lot more that I have to give. There's a whole lot of life I need to tap into and lean into. So
Exactly.
kudos for you, what you've
Thank you.
achieved and what you've accomplished. So thank you for that. I feel so honored that you shared that.
Thank
So let's talk about the finance, because you said you had to have your father to help you. And I think that's the thing about finances is like people want to hide it because there's a vulnerability that they sometimes don't know what they don't know. And a lot of times they're sinking.
you. Yeah, they are. Um, I was blessed, to have parents that did have the means to do it, and I know a lot of people don't.
Mhm.
And so,
Right,
if you're in that place of struggle, at least find individuals who can guide and help you on
right.
how to get out of the hole. It may take a little bit longer,
Mhm, mhm,
um, but and sometimes it will take sacrifice. So, like my dad told me,
mhm.
he said, "Sell your home." And I looked at him, tears rolling down my face. I said, "Dad, this is all I have left." So
Yeah,
he knew I had exhausted everything.
right,
And
right.
he said, "Well, okay, we'll help you keep that."
Okay.
But sometimes you may have to let the home go
Mhm,
if it's going to give you greater joy and
mhm.
peace of mind at the end. Because
Right.
I don't know about anyone else, but I know when I was going through that financial hellhole, my stress
Mhm,
was off the charts. I
mhm.
didn't sleep well.
Yeah.
I didn't have clarity of thought, which probably affected some other decisions, right?
Mhm, mhm.
So I believe if you can find a place of where you can get centered and get peace,
Mhm.
that's when you can get clarity, and the ideas and the doors are going to open that maybe you wouldn't see because
Right,
you're so cluttered and distracted.
right, right. Very true. And to me, Lifestyle practices are so important as we're navigating the season. For me, self-care is at the top of my list now. It used to be, oh, I'll take care of this for myself later after I take care of this person and this person and this person. And after a while, you realize you've been giving and giving and your cup is empty.
Exactly.
So now I advocate for self-care. I have a team of people who support me on my self-care journey. I have a standing appointment with the esthetician. I have a standing appointment with my chiropractor. I have a standing appointment with my masseuse. Like, yeah, I need some support in this area because I think I'm doing well and I'm handling things. And I go to the masseuse. She's like, oh my God, your neck feels like a rock. What is happening in your world? Like, she can feel the stress. And if you carry that, it manifests in the body, and then it can be an illness that ends up being something that can be very debilitating. So these little messages that your body's giving you are telltale signs and indicators. And it's unfortunate, but as you're moving through the menopause journey, life is happening. And sometimes it's very challenging. You have aging parents, you have kids that are maybe out of the household, and you're dealing with empty nesting, relationship changes. Oh my goodness, the number of women that I have talked to who have been through relationship, I myself, I'm like, what the heck is going on? These are not the same people I remember them to be. But you know what? You have to be in the right community to be supported. You were fortunate to have your father who understood finances. I would say nobody in my family understood finances enough that they could ever help me with a situation. I'm always the cavalry for people.
And that's okay. It has to start somewhere.
I don't mind supporting people, but I don't want people to utilize what I'm saying as I'm the ATM to resolve all your problems. No, I'm not.
Right. Yeah, but you can, because you're now this expert fisherwoman, right? Now you can teach them so that they can be more empowered. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important. Is it's often easy for us to say, "Oh, okay, you have an issue here. Let me throw money at your problem." No, let me help you change your money mindset. Let me
Mm-hmm.
have you become more accountable and responsible for the
Mm-hmm.
choices you make.
Mm-hmm.
Because we are all a sum of our decisions, whether we want to admit it or not. It
Truly,
just is,
truly, truly.
right?
Yes, I totally agree with you on the finance part. I had provided my church with finance classes. I put together a program to help people with basic things. And the way I came about this, I was a business major. My family were entrepreneurs. So yeah, I saw the ability to make your own money. I didn't see a lot of money, but I saw money. So I never thought about lack. But it's once I got to the place where I was working in banking, finance, and mortgage,
Okay.
I remember seeing people's accounts, and I was like, the image that I see of them and what's in their bank account, oh, those two don't match.
Yeah.
No, what's going on? And then I would see people that would come in, just average Joes, come in every week or 2 weeks or whatever it was, and they deposit that money and deposit that money. And you look at their bank account, they got $1 million. So I got a inside view of how money operated, plus the fact I was working with merchant accounts. So I was able to have conversations with multimillionaires, people who had the inside track. So I was always in a space of learning. Like you say, it's always
Mhm.
important for me to learn that. But life does happen because I remember I had a credit score. They used to call like Jesus walk on water credit score, like the 800 something. And life will happen. You're trying to help some people, and all of a sudden you find that your money's going out, your credit score is going down. You signing for other people, and it just plummeted. I was just like, okay, well,
Mhm.
life will teach you some things.
It will. It will. Yeah, I went from 800s to, I have no shame in telling people, it dropped to 578. I couldn't pay my bills, folks, but it's back up now. But again, I think with you and I, the blessing is because we know how money works, right? You coming from a different baseline. And that's why I want to encourage individuals, if you don't know, get with individuals who can help coach and guide you so
Mhm.
that you can learn and build on that learning, because it's an evolving process.
Right. Very much so. And I think the thing that was important for me is understanding the difference from being rich versus wealthy. Like I was rich. I had all of the things you check the box. I had the Mercedes, I had the rental properties, I had the money in the bank, I had the investment. Like I was living very, very well and very proud of myself because nobody did it for me. You know what I mean? But then there's also this point where you look around like myself, I was not the person that was going to wait for government to say, okay, you're the official age, you can retire. It's just like, okay, this is not working for me, building somebody else's dream. So how can I do this for myself? So I retired myself. my money didn't say I had retirement money. So making decisions now is just like, okay, I have to have these multiple streams of income. So I do have all of these monies coming in, and it's still not where I want it to be, but I'm a whole lot better. Like if everything stopped, I don't have to wait on an employer to give me a check. So that's to me one of the important ways that you got to look at finance. What can you do to bring other avenues of monies into your ecosystem? Because we're on the situation where the economy is changing. People are talking about scarcity, which I don't buy into that, but you have to be able to have different ways to bring in money and just not one source. Because if you walk into a job and they say, okay, well, we don't need you, then what? And I've had that experience many times over,
Well, yeah,
as a
I think
contractor.
our generation was the first generation that dealt with downsizing, right sizing, mergers, whatever it is, right? So the 30 years or 40 years at a company, that was never ever our real, ever.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. That's pretty much over unless I think no, because I think the military had like a 20-year retirement, but now everything is like you have to decide how you want to funnel your money into some retirement fund. It's not like a
Yeah,
ongoing pension after 20 years of service.
yeah, yeah. My father was in for 30 years, and he always says, "Don't forget the 30 days." So he was a Korean War and Vietnam War veteran, and the the benefits are totally different, totally different. Like I was just talking to my mom yesterday,
Mhm.
because my dad passed in September,
Yeah.
and I said, "You were so blessed because, everything that dad put in place." I said, "But also because he was a war veteran, like World War I, World War II, Korean War, and Vietnam War veterans, there's a certain different level of benefits they get
Mhm.
based upon your years of service."
Mhm.
So, she's looking at, again, you're talking about multiple streams,
Yeah.
all of these other monies that she's able to get from his lived life.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I was talking to, you may know her, Deborah Morrison. She's a big financial guru, TEDx speaker. She would
Mhm.
be great for this show. But
Mhm.
she has a book called My Husband Died, Now What? And it's dealing with women in finance, that
Mhm.
there was such a dependency, and you didn't have the knowledge on how to manage the money, and you
Right.
didn't realize how much of the money was going to be gone once he
Mhm.
passed away, or your significant other,
Okay.
that they're struggling. And I didn't know from her that the average widow is under the age of 60.
Yeah.
It's scary,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, so what you're doing is so important, teaching women about finance. So as I'm looking at the time, I just like I could stay in this conversation with you for hours. What is like a couple of takeaways you can share with women to kind of get them started on this path of taking responsibility for your finance? I know sometimes it's like you want to put your head in the sand and not deal with it,
of course.
but you're just going to implode. Like you have to be able to rip the band-aid off. Let's like pull the bills out of the drawer and figure out like what it is you owe, like how much you're responsible for and how you can find ways to address them. So let's talk about that a little bit.
I think the first thing really, and I kind of alluded to it, is changing the mindset. And when you to change the mindset comes first with being aware, right? So I can pay my bills, I can do all the, different methods people tell me how to get out of debt. But if this hasn't changed, I'm going to find myself back in that cycle. And I think the most telling thing, like you said, pull your bills out. I challenge women to pull 6 months to a year if you've got credit card bills
Mhm.
and see what you've been spending. It's one
Mhm.
thing to look at that bottom line,
Yeah.
right? I owe $20,000. Okay.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
what were you spending it on?
Yeah.
And ask yourself, why did I spend? Because I spoke to a friend of mine. Why did I spend 2,000 last month on Uber Eats? Because you were too lazy. Let's be real. To get in your car, drive 2 miles. You were looking for convenience, but that convenience costs. So I
Mhm.
think the first thing, Beverly, is really unpackaging what you were spending it on and then why.
Mhm.
What
Mhm.
was driving you to that impulsive kind of, well, it's easy to tap and go,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
think about back in the day when we were cash based, more cash based,
Mhm.
people were very aware. If you gave yourself $100,
You gonna hold
you
that $100.
you were stretching that. But now it's like swipe, tap. So I think that's the first thing. And then the second thing is to set a goal for yourself that you can really see. What is it that you're trying to do? To say I want to be debt free. What does that really mean? Debt
Mhm.
free meaning total everything, house, etc., credit card debt. But then the question should be, how do I maintain a debt free status?
Mhm.
My
Mhm.
father retired at age 60. He lived to 94. My goal is to be able to have that level of security to know that I never need to, like you said, rely on a job or anything else to
Mhm.
maintain my quality of life
Mhm.
until it's over. And most people don't think about that. It's like, I want to retire. Well, do you know how long you may live?
Mhm. Mhm.
Maybe retirement is not the answer. Maybe it's
Mhm.
using your current income on
Mhm.
that job
Mhm.
to pay for that dream.
Mhm. Right.
Again, that's a mindset shift.
Right.
And then
Right.
suddenly that thing that seemed to be a pain
Uh-huh.
and a drudgery becomes a joy, because you're like, I got a method to this madness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pay me every 2 weeks, because I know what I'm taking that payment, I'm taking a part of it, and I'm investing it in my business or my training or my coaching or doing whatever it is. So then when I walk away, I already have income that matches or surpasses what you're paying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Those are some amazing nuggets. And I am with you 100% on the mindset. As I talk to women going through the menopause journey, that's the number one thing we focus on, because there's a narrative out there that you can buy into, and this can be like the most challenging time of your life. Or you can decide for yourself what you want this time of your life to be like and claim it for yourself and lean into whatever life is possible. For me, I'm on my expat journey, honey. I am looking to live overseas part of my life, because I had been traveling off and on for many, many years, and I really love that. Just like you, I've supported the Department of Defense and worked abroad, and I just love travel. And I'm at this space now. It's me leaning into what's on my bucket list. And I really have to say, I'm so grateful. Most of the things that I wanted in my life, I've achieved, but the freedom to travel, to experience life, other cultures, that means so much to me. So that's where I'm leaning into. And I want to encourage women, like, what is it? I'm always talking about this hourglass.
Mm.
We only have so much time left in this hourglass. So what are you going to do with those things as you're on this journey? It's a decision, it's a mindset. Where do you want to be? What do you want to lean into? What are the possibilities? And if you need help with your finances, this young lady here can help you on that journey. So with that, I'm going to pass it to you, LaWanna. What do you want to leave the ladies with? What are you working on? Where can they find you? Where can they be a part of your ecosystem? Because you're such a blessing. Thank you so much for what you shared, the inspiration to the women, and just rocketing it in your space as a woman of color in these corporate rooms dealing with commercial real estate. I personally have a real estate license. I did commercial real estate for a while, and that is not an easy space to be. It's not.
Well, thank you again for having me on the show. And one of the things that I developed is a proprietary system called the R3 system. And it takes you, because we always hear people say, you develop your strategic plan for your life or business. And we simplify it so much that if it were that easy, everyone would be rocking their dreams.
Right.
So saying, find out where you are, where do you want to go, and then come up with ideas to get there. That there's pieces missing. So I've been a strategist for over 30 years. So my system's called the R3. It overlays that. And
Mhm.
what it's saying is it's important to refocus, reframe, and reconnect. And this is what I teach and we also consult on. And it's helping women in business and women in life to be able to refocus on their so what. So it's not just a mindset, but really identifying your skills, your knowledges,
Yeah.
the resources that you have around you, and how does that fit into this dreamscape that you've developed for yourself.
Right.
Then realizing you've been empowered by the great, I'm a woman of faith, by the greatest creator of all,
Mhm.
right? And as such, you also have architectural genius in you.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
reframing is designing your framework for your life. As MLK said, what is your life blueprint?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
you develop it. And then the last thing is reconnect, knowing and believing that you are this great ball of genius. You
Mhm.
have this lane and rules of game that you set for yourself.
Mhm.
Now dust yourself off, acknowledge the ash and trash that you've come through, rise, like you said, the phoenix, and
Right.
reconnect to your playing field
Yes.
and win. So
Yes.
that's what I offer to women in business, and in life. You can connect with me on all things social media, LaWanna Bradford. If you want to know more about me, go to my website, lawannabradford.com. And I'd love to just have a conversation with you. You want to unpack it, just say, tell me a little bit more about this R3. And we have ongoing programs throughout the year that we can plug you into.
Fantastic. And all of her information will definitely be provided at the end of this podcast. Ladies, I want to thank you for being here. Thank you, LaWanna, for being here and
Thank
sharing so
you.
deeply and such a heartfelt message. And ladies, for those of you that are on the menopause journey, I'm Beverly Whitlow with Beverly Hills Health and Wellness Coaching. I'm a certified health coach, and I help women to break through the stigma of menopause and lean into a fabulous, confident, and sexy new vision through a holistic journey that I refer to as step into a powerful next level life on the sexy side of menopause. Thank you for being here, ladies. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye bye.